The Honourable Leader of the Second Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For more than a year, we've been hearing that Manitoba is in the midst of a meth epidemic, worse than fentanyl and opioids. I've heard it personally all across this province, from Brandon to Thompson, from downtown Winnipeg to suburbs to fly-in reserves. This government is receiving $40 million a year for the next 10 years from the federal government, dedicated to public mental health and home care, and another $5 million especially to deal with opioids. Yet, in this year's budget, this government spent $1 million less on mental health and addictions than the NDP did in 2014-15, 4 years ago. And they underspent funding to health authorities for community health services by $26.6 million. There is a single principle in healthcare: do no harm. How can the Premier justify cuts to mental health and addictions even as meth addictions are increasing exponentially?
The Honourable First Minister.
Well, I encourage the new Leader of the Opposition to consider the reality. He is trying to pilot and trump up the contribution of Ottawa East here in Ottawa West territory. And he need not do that, because the federal government is reducing its partnership share of healthcare funding by over $1 billion over the next few years, and that's not a record he should brag about. As well, Ottawa, in reducing its support, does not recognize the real challenges faced by an aging population who need more healthcare support, not less, in our province, but have, unfortunately, to carry the burden, along with the rest of the citizens of our province, of $1 billion of debt service costs for the first time in our history, thanks to the NDP unsustainable practice of spending more and getting fewer results from it. These are the realities we must face. We're dealing with limited resources, and we're doing the absolute best we can with the resources entrusted to us by Manitobans. If he wants higher taxes, he should say so.
The Honourable Leader of the Second Opposition on a supplementary
Madam Speaker,
question.
I've said before that I'm opposed to the new funding formula, and I was opposed to it when the Premier voted for it in 2008. The meth crisis is not a new issue. We recognize it's difficult, but it's getting worse because this government is doing virtually nothing to make it better. We know from police it's driving up violent crime like assaults and murders. It's driving an increase in property crime. It's putting people in the health and justice system at risk from assault from someone in meth psychosis. Nurses are getting concussed and guards are getting PTSD. The quick access clinics are open 2 hours, 5 days a week in Winnipeg for a problem that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week and province-wide. But these quick access clinics don't provide treatment. They provide referrals to what, Madam Speaker? Another wait list? Private clinics may cost $18,000 for 10 days in detox and 30 days of residential recovery, and patients may need repeated treatments. What is needed for meth is stabilization units and housing supports with mental health workers. Will the Premier restore funding to mental health to create new treatment spaces, or will he continue to ignore this crisis?
The Honourable First Minister.
Well, we do have new treatment spaces, Madam Speaker. The member ignores the reality of the actions we've taken, conveniently so, but inconveniently fails to outline in detail the costing around his proposal. So I would welcome him doing so. We're certainly open to ideas and suggestions. We've been listening to the experts. We commissioned the Virgo report and have been acting on it. Our ministers take this issue very seriously, and we will continue to act to do the best we can with a very dire situation, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Second Opposition on a final supplementary.
I will note, Madam Speaker, that the Virgo report had no mention of methamphetamines. It was determined that the government had not provided enough information to the author. But we need to be clear, meth is a different type of drug than opioids or alcohol. There is no such thing as a safe injection site for meth, and treatment and recovery are different too. When we talk about harm reduction with meth, we are talking about death reduction and disease reduction. It's said that we should love the sinner but hate the sin. This is also true of addiction, that we need to separate the human being from their addiction. Addicts should be treated in hospitals and clinics, not jails and remand. We know the need is increasing. We know the federal government is providing $400 million more over the next 10 years for mental health and home care. And we know that this government is going to have a new revenue stream from cannabis sales. A 9% markup on wholesale, a 6% fee on top of that, and on top of that, a federal excise tax from which the province will get 75% of the revenue. Will this government commit today to applying cannabis revenues to prevention and to creating new spaces for addictions treatment and recovery?
The Honourable First Minister.
quick to spend, Madam Speaker, over there, and ready to throw money at a problem that we're not sure we have. The member has failed to reveal any analysis that he has done. We have certainly done a lot here to determine that we don't expect a net. There's a difference between gross revenue and net, and I'll get the member to look that up. The fact is that we aren't going to be expecting any major revenue flows to solve all the problems the member has begun to list and will, I'm sure, continue to list as the days go on. And so, Madam Speaker, the member has suggested that the NDP are wrong in their assertion about the injection sites. He might like to have that debate with them. I'd suggest he's wrong in asserting that we can spend money that we do not have.